Assalamu alaikum. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hope everybody is doing well. We're going to continue with the notebook, and there are a few very interesting items in notebook, and I was just showing it to a few of you, and you said that okay, I should make a video, so I'm just going to make that video. So NotebookLM from Google is a really easy way to start utilizing for real use cases at your company, at your personal life and such. So I'm going to show you how to make a deep conversation basically using ChatGPT LLM from that perspective of doing the research, then building it and creating and actually showcasing that to you. Okay, why don't we jump right in? So we're going to go to notebooklm.google. Some of you have gone there already. Once you get there, you go to try NotebookLM, log in with your Google, or you can actually download the app as well. So you come to this one, and there's so many amazing things people have built. It's really unbelievable. To be honest, I am shocked at how many very interesting ones people have done that. So let's create a brand new one. So now I need to upload a source. Either I can copy, I can go to YouTube, or I can paste a text. As you know, you can do up to 300 of these source limits. However, what I found out in one thing that you should know, the size matters. The size of the document really truly matters. But I'm going to show you the whole thing from beginning to end. So let's come to ChatGPT. As you know, we're going to use multiple LLMs, whatever you have at your disposal, because sometimes you have the deep research limitation for various components. So you go to deep research, choose that one, or you go here and find deep research and go to the research mode. And let's say, what do you want to do today? Let's say I want to learn about the education system. How did it come about? The history of education. So you can type history of education. That's as simple as that. Nothing else needed, okay? So keep it simple because I'm going to create a deep conversation so that it can start. So they need to ask you a few clarifying questions. A specific time period, I'm going to say start from ancient up to now and go into future. Meaning that, okay, I want to really have a deep, thoughtful conversation on that one, on what education is all about and how did it evolve, the evolution of the education. Then a particular region, no, I want global. Number 3, I want type of education, formal schooling, all. I want all education. And number 4, focus. Let's say I will go for all. Okay. So I'm doing all of these things and I start. So what happens when you do a deep research, it collects this information, then it's gonna go and do that deep research. And it will go around and, scout through various sources, and it would actually list out all the sources. Now, one interesting thing happens here. When it goes to these sources, it finds some information. Now, it had a thought process already. Most of the time, what I've noticed, and you have noticed that, it goes through a reasoning and thinking mode. Oh, I found this information that changed my thinking. It always does. In reality, it always does. Let's say we are actually going to Bangladesh through Turkey, and I booked a hotel that is available complimentary using Turkish when you do a stopover. But we are so many people and we are allocated to 4 different hotels. So we said that no, I would not know until I have clicked on those buttons that they are allocating people in different hotels. So then once I found out, then I figured out, hold on, that's a problem because we have 2 elderlies with us and 8 of us together. So if we are traveling all of them, we should be in one hotel. Is that right? I would not know until the hotel was allocated. Once I found that allocation, Then different people wanted to do different things, that or everybody wanted to then I need to converge those ideas. Then what I found out is convergence of this idea is that, oh, okay, we're gonna be close to Blue Mosque, Hagia Sophia, and the Grand Bazaar, because maybe somebody wants to go for shopping, somebody wants to see the historical site, and somebody just wants to pray in a mosque, because you are going to a Turkey, which is a very Muslim heritage area. So convergence of those ideas, this is exactly what it's going to do. It's going to diverge first, converge, and come up with a very detailed research. And that takes a little bit of time, because remember, in a human process, it took a little bit of time. This is one of the reasons when you're building a software, yes, whenever we actually start building a software, what we find out is a lot of time we start with something and we always do change request, because, oh, hold on, it looks green. I thought green was going to be good, but maybe purple I need to add. Or, oh, hold on, this feature is okay, but I need another feature. It just comes that idea in a reasoning and thinking mechanism. This is why deep research is fundamentally important. While it's building this one, I'm going to show you one more research that I have already done, because it takes a little bit of time. We can start with that one. So let's say I wanted to do a history. I actually asked for, I'm going to show you what the resource, let me just make it a full screen. So if you come back up, you'll see what my question is. Let's create a history of artificial AI from prehistoric all the way today and future. Okay, and same similar question, it says how depth you want to go, scope, focus area, format, and future outlook. I said it's detailed, very short. Okay, then it actually did that whole chronological concept, myth, and it started in 700 BC. So actually the thought process of where did artificial intelligence started from, the Talos area, the Aristotle's logic, Al-Jazari automata, Leibniz's calculus, we got all of those things from the thought process of something artificial as an intelligence coming in, creating that algorithm, application of it, and getting into deep. You can see each of the milestones are separated out. So what I'm going to do, this is already created. This is a fantastic, really good document. It's fascinating. In fact, if anybody wants to publish it for our I'm not sure in Bangladesh this is gonna happen this year for book fair. We call it a Boi Mela, Ekushe Boi Mela. This would be one of the, in my opinion, curious minds read. Okay, so why don't I go to this? I'm gonna go to Google Drive. This is what I do. Again, I did the deep research. Now let me go to, I have a rough draft kind of area. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a new Google Docs. And typically I post it just to organize it. And you can see various components. It's already pretty well structured anyway. So I'm not going to change any of those things due to our time at this moment. So the name of these things is Chronological History of Artificial Intelligence. The myth, the logic, the philosophy, the automation, the algorithms, all of it are here. So what I can do, I'm just going to download this as a PDF document. Okay. So if you look at it, this is the document that I created using deep research. I pasted the document because I want that document organized, and if I want to make some changes, I can make some changes here. And then I will go to this notebook. I can actually give the drive link right here as well. Don't have to do much on that one. So we can do that. I've shown you that one, or I can choose the file. Why don't we do the drive link actually? Let's make sure that it's shared. Because of the fact, remember one thing, I'm creating this, this is a question that I got asked a few times. I'm creating this using ChatGPT. Anybody can create it, is that right? If I want to protect the IP, there's so many things we can do. There is no reason for me to keep it like hidden or proprietary. This is why the open source thing is really popular. So I got this idea. I have this document. I got the link of this doc, or I can download. I showed you. I can upload the PDF file, or I can just show them add the chronological history of artificial intelligence, and it will just update it. Okay, so then you would see that this is my untitled notebook. I can change it. History of AI. Okay, I'll just make it short. History of AI. Fantastic. Now, one thing of course you can ask the question, which is the key thing in NotebookLM, but I wanted to create an audio overview. This is a very intriguing conversation, typically two people, podcast type. Now remember, amount of effort used to go to this kind of documentation, this kind of deep thought conversation, think tank type of conversation. You can have even lighter conversation, any way you can come up with all those things. And some of those things are really very fascinating. A lot of time, why is this important? Also another thing I wanted to say, because the history is typically written from one angle, or sometimes it's written from two angles, but never, very rarely, it's written from all angles. So you might want to see the history from all different angles, because you can only do that after the fact. And there is various people say that thing in it happens like, maybe the history, portion of the history happened in subcontinent, and portion of the history happened in Europe, portion of the history happened in Middle East, portion of the history happened in the US, and maybe in Australia. All different places. I can stitch all of them together after the fact, and as a view, as a holistic view. So what happens is that I raise myself up seeing a bigger picture. That's a mental model. I mean, we call it a 10x mental model, but okay, that's a really good growth mental model to look into all these things in a perspective that normally we would see differently. So again, I get that history part of it done. It is generating the audio overview, and you'd be very interested to know. I'm going to show you one of the audios that I have already created, but we'll come back to this and listen to that. We'll try to publish it. I don't know how YouTube does it, but we'll give credit to everybody. The content is created by ChatGPT. The audio is created by NotebookLM. And another thing that you can do is that you can create the video. I've shown you before the chat portion of it. So the audio and video is significantly more intriguing. Okay, so let's go to this where I already have something. We're gonna go to here, the echoes of okay, so this is coming in. Okay, this one actually. So echoes of intelligence, the evolution of AI. I think this is a very interesting one that I have put together. I'm going to show you. I have created one audio and I have created one video. It takes a little effort. So let's look at this audio.
This human desire to build a thinking machine.
Imagine sitting in front of a system right now. One that can write code, compose music, even argue a legal case.
Right.
It knows what you need, it predicts your next move, and sometimes it feels like it's thinking faster than you are.
Uh-huh.
This all feels so futuristic, doesn't it? Like we literally just invented this stuff yesterday.
It absolutely does. It feels like it just appeared out of nowhere.
Yeah.
But the fascinating thing we find in the sources is that this story, this human desire to build a thinking machine, didn't start in a data center.
Not at all.
It began thousands of years ago with.
So see how this conversation is growing and putting that emotion, the two people talking, they're drawing attention, and that affliction points as well. So you started to see those things in video, in audio. Now let's look at the video as well. So this is the video portion of it.
Today, we're diving into the long and honestly fascinating history of artificial intelligence. And here's the thing you'll find out. This isn't just some modern tech story. It's about a dream that's pretty much as old as humanity itself. So let's just start with a thought. Picture a machine that gets you, that knows what you
So I'm gonna show one more thing. I can actually fast forward, and let's say I do it in
Maybe
1.5,
even finishes your sentences. Does that sound like the absolute
and you can go
simple,
forward.
right? But it's also incredibly profound. Can machines think? And this wasn't just some philosophical thought experiment. It was a direct challenge to the entire scientific community. So to try and answer his own question,
So this is they're talking about the Turing test, and we know if you're in artificial intelligence, this would be a compelling thing. You know why this is important? In Bangladesh or in any part of the world, in that case, we always are stuck in traffic. Sometimes we are sleeping, sometimes we get agitated. Hey, why am I waiting? In Bangladesh, I know for a fact you get stuck in traffic. So get one of these things, download, and listen to it. This would enrich your knowledge to a completely different level. And this is why the audio, and this is the studio portion of it, this is why the audio and video, and you can just simply download this thing and keep it for yourself. If you want to spread the information to others, you can easily do that one. So again, this fundamentally gives an ability for you to get into a deep thinking and a deep article, take it to that next level, and come up with a production ready professional document that maybe for yourself, maybe for the broader audience as such. A lot of times this becomes a very interesting component. I can see that people are using it for various things. Even the students, the kids, they can just upload a book and do a conversation. So I know that we have textbooks, is that right? If I can make a conversation out of that textbook, how amazing that would be, because sometimes those are boring. I've seen also one interesting one is that very boring Pythagorean formula, and they have created a very engaging talk out of it. And you can do that. This is why I go to ChatGPT, create that engaging talk, upload that doc, create that in Google Drive, provide the link in NotebookLM, and create the audio and video out of it. So again, we see that our AI from ancient myth to $15 trillion industry is already ready. That audio that we have
Welcome
created.
back to the deep dive. We've taken the sources you shared and built a comprehensive map, turning raw information into the distilled knowledge you need. Today, we're trying to map a history that, well, it spans thousands of years, but the most incredible acceleration has happened in just the last, 18 months?
It really has.
I mean, you can't talk about technology right now without talking about...
And see how engaging this conversation just became, is that right? This is the same thing, history of AI, but it become very engaging, and you can actually listen to it very, very well. So with that, again, we have taken a concept, uploaded to ChatGPT, did a deep research, and then came back with a document, detailed document, uploaded to Google Drive, and provided the Google Drive link to NotebookLM, and generated a podcast. Total 15-20 minutes, maybe at best, maybe 30 minutes at best, but you are getting a global, bar-raising, high-end, high-quality podcast out of it. Okay, with that, I want to thank all of you for listening to me. Again, welcome to BrightMind Next. If you want to listen to some of these newer AI evolutions and what's happening, subscribe to us, or spread the joy. With that, Assalamu alaikum. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thank you.